All right. A lot going on tonight. A lot going on. Swifty J said, I want to hear what you have to say. I was actually at a show. So I came out of the show and I just did a quick catch up. So essentially the United States supposedly dropped bombs on three nuclear sites in Iran. And then Iran said, well, gotcha, bitch. Actually, we had already cleaned out those sites. So there wasn't nothing there, allegedly. Then it's talked about that this was not a Congress-approved attack. And then Donald Trump just made an address where he summed it up saying, God bless Israel and God bless America. Now, this is another reason why I've been saying that it really is imperative that folks get more knowledge on Israel. And, I'm just going to do a little quick, I told you so. But when we were all talking about Palestine and Israel, and folks were saying this has nothing to do with us, that was really silly. And it was definitely short-sighted for many people because they really couldn't seem to grasp how it would come back to them. And so to answer your question, is it truly just Jess who asked, are these attacks ever approved by Congress? So one of the answers is yes. It was approved by Congress for the Iraq War. And literally the only Congress member who voted against the Iraq War was Representative Barbara Lee. Was she a senator or a representative? Barbara Lee, who was a former Black Panther, actually. So, yes. Now, when you all ask the very disingenuous question, what are we supposed to do? It makes my brain explode because I sometimes don't know why do you have to do something? Why do you have to do something? You just need to know. It's important to have information so that you can make decisions that information may affect later on. So, for instance, the fact that Israel has been deeply embedded in U.S. politics and the ways that it is embedded in U.S. politics, if everyone had known that and felt offended by that and felt disenfranchised by that, then perhaps there would be more effort at dismantling that. So that's kind of how it works. You can't believe in the electoral process and also not believe in knowing what's going on geopolitically. That's how it works. You can't have both. And I think the problem is that a lot of people believe in the electoral process because they think that if the government is doing the thing, then they don't have to do anything. And there just isn't enough example of the United States government working on behalf of its people for the people to be asleep at the wheel. it's impractical. So if you are going to be somebody who is like, okay, I want to work within the system, then you're going to need to know what is working the system. And Israel is working the system and has been quite some time. For quite some time. You know, like, I got to tell you, I mean, I have been hearing Black pundits talk for years about Democrats and Republicans and never talking about the Israeli involvement. I would say the only Black pundit that I've ever personally heard talking about this was Mark Lamont Hill. Now, then you always have to add in the extra, God, shut up with African Americans are tired, especially of standing for justice for other groups. I'm also trying to understand this, this story of Black people standing for justice for other groups. When have Black people marched in mass for other groups? Please tell me. I'm serious, because I want to know. When have we marched in mass for other groups? Because what it sounds like people are saying is that Black people came out to support Palestine and then Palestinians didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Because that sounds nuts, but that's what a lot of people believe. But I'm really trying to know, like, what you're referencing to. When did we do that? Because I know I've been marching. I was marching since Sean Bell. So I'm just like, when people say that, I don't understand what they're talking about. People will say, well, Black people, we are the ones who, you know, got the civil rights laws passed. It was the efforts of Black people and us dying that got these rights passed, and then other groups didn't fight for us. And I guess what I'm trying to understand is why there seems to be such a divorce of consciousness from the way that white supremacy works and how it creates, indoctrinates, and divide and conquers. I mean, we know for a fact that there was coalition building amongst, you know, the Black people, sorry, I have jet lag. We know there was coalition building between like the Chicano movement of the 60s and Black folks. We know that there was coalition building between Asian groups, particularly in the Northern California, and Black folks. So and I just feel like there's this concept that is very, very short-sighted. So when we talk about where we are now with Iran and Israel, we always end up having to go back to get to the forward, because we always have to have a consciousness around what are the steps that allowed for us to get here. And there has been so many there have been so many instances where the United States government has advanced the interests of Israel in forfeiture of advancing the interests of our people. This is a constant, and when I say our people, I'm not even saying Black people. I'm saying like literally Americans. Some people don't know that like Israelis have free healthcare. Israelis have free access to higher education. Israelis live in a socialist society that we are providing the support for. So what's happening in Iran? Exactly. I had to mute him. I was like, okay. So what's happening in Iran is really disturbing in the reality that it creates a bigger fucking domino effect. And that domino effect can have a myriad of repercussions. There could be a greater expansion of conflict in the region. We know that Saudi Arabia has sided with the U.S. and also with Israel. So they are a force that seems to have like a bottomless pit of money to be able, thank you, Judah, to be able to help support this. We also know that ultimately this is, so do we all know what this war is really about? Can anyone in here give some, just give some, what they think this war is really about? Okay, so we got some people saying, I don't know. Judah is saying, keep fighting. If I understand Judah correctly, yes, it's keeping war going, right? Like there always has to be war happening. Big-ish 11 says oil. DJ Derek Montero says controlling land, minerals, and people. Busy Jackie says ending the attacks. Patrick Henry Williams says regime change in Iran so Bibi can stay in power longer. Pretty Brown Eyes says cover for Netanyahu. So I would agree. I agree with those top three. So one, Judah said keep war going. So the United States used to be an agricultural country. Like that's where we used to get most of our money from. And then after World War II, we switched gears and became all about weapons and war. And we really became a economy that is based on war, so to speak. So in order for the United States to continue to generate its money and its power, it has to keep a war going. So that's one of the reasons. Two, this is also about, of course, oil. There's basically like a small stretch of waterway where the oil travels from that part of the world. And Iran is in control of that small stretch of waterway. And essentially that's the only way to get oil out of that part of the world. And I think there's definitely an effort to get over. Thank you, Judah. But yes, military industrial complex. There's also a very, there's also like a strategery, there's also like a strategery element of this, where they are basically trying to set themselves up to be able to have some level of challenging against China. And they know that if they don't shut down Iran, they would never be able to do that. There's also the reality that Benjamin Netanyahu wants to remain in power. And they also have big plans to obliterate Gaza and to create a canal through the beneath the Philadelphia corridor, where they can, instead of having to go through the Suez Canal, go through there and be in control of waterways. And Benjamin Netanyahu is a dictator in everything but name. And ultimately, if you stay in war, you have an easier time of not getting ousted. I mean, he literally went in front of the UN and was like, this is Israel. This is Gaza. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to do. So it's not like this is some surreptitious thing or this is some conspiracy theory. He went in front of it and was like, here we are. So the concept of stop a nuclear Iran, I believe to be a false flag. I don't think that's actually anything real. I think that's literally just something that they're using in the same way that they were using with weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And I think that there's a lot of information that people don't know about how Iraq went down and the ways in which Democrats carried that out, because there's also this like narrative, like, see, this is another situation if Kamala was, and it's like, this is a U.S. stance. Like there's an interview from EBC where Kamala says unequivocally, like, I want to handle Iran. Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. We know that Hillary used to say the same thing. So this is bipartisan. But that's what makes it, to me, so disturbing, is that we're reaching a point now where someone said Trump has been impeached already. Trump has been impeached twice. I don't think people understand what impeachment really means. So you can be impeached, but that doesn't mean you get removed. Impeachment means we tried to remove you. All impeachment means is, all this impeach Trump, like, please cut it out. All impeachment means is we are going to try to remove you. But if they don't get the votes, then it doesn't happen. They impeached Bill Clinton. It's an act of Congress. And it's very, like, a strong act, but it doesn't actually do anything. So, like, in North Korea, when their president called martial law and they was like, oh, hell no, they ran over and literally they were trying to keep members of the House from getting inside so that they could vote to get this man out. And they was so bad about it, ratty, that they, like, jumped over the gate to get in there and vote that man out. But still, it required a whole other step of process. Even though they had gotten the votes, it still didn't get certified in South Korea. Oh, did I say North Korea? I apologize. I meant South Korea. I'm jet lagged. Sorry. But they still had to wait another few months for it to be certified. So, all of these things are processes. But okay, someone had asked, can you talk about how we deconstruct the bipartisan corruption on an individual and collective level? Let me get her out of here. Hold on. Oh, man. Okay. So someone said, are you sure this is bipartisan? Several Democratic lawmakers spoke out against this. It is bipartisan if any Democratic lawmakers speak out about this. I mean, if any Democratic lawmakers go along with this, and many have. So that's what makes it bipartisan. Even if literally one Democrat goes along with it, it's bipartisan because there's only two parties. And so it's bipartisan. So as far as, how do we deal with corruption? So this country operates in a very weird way because it's not really like top down or bottom up. It's kind of depends on the law that's actually trying to get passed. So for instance, if there were enough states that said we are not going to allow dark money in our politics, then that would give grounds to actually bring that to the bill, to bring that to the floor in a bill federally. But the truth is that there haven't been enough states to do that. Now, I believe Arizona did it, but I actually don't know if it's Arizona as a state or if it's just a county in Arizona that did it. But and I think Maine also did it. And so what it would require is the reversal of the Citizens United Bill Act that was passed by Ronald Reagan. Okay, so these are the people I'm going to block. Anyone in here who's speaking definitively, like, we know Kamala wouldn't have bombed Iran. I don't even understand how you can make such a statement. I don't understand how what is it about this woman that she has shown you that makes you think that she is like some peaceful, like, namaste, like, auntie? What is it about her? She's taking photos with cops, calling herself a top cop. She's married to a Zionist. When she ran on her campaign, she said, I'm going to be just like Joe Biden. She literally in her DNC speech said that she will make sure America remains the most lethal military. She, in her interview on ABC, absolutely said Iran is our biggest enemy. I don't know, like, does it just make you feel, I don't understand what that does for you. Like, I don't know anybody in the Bay that gets down with Kamala. Not one person. So I think that that's more of a projection of what you would like. You and the one that called her Mamala. What's her name? Now, again, so let's get back to basics. So the geopolitics of this becomes a lot more complex because the question becomes, what is the repercussions? And there's no reason to believe that there will not be repercussions that take place on United States soil. Do I recall what the agreement was between Obama and Iran? No, I don't. The thing about it is, it's hard to really trust anything that's being said, knowing that there's always truths that come out later that reveal that there have been backdoor conversations, lies, cheating, etc. So it's a bit disconcerting. When you look at the history of Iran and how involved the United States was as recent as the 70s in creating the coup, it's hard to imagine that there isn't still some backdoor dealings. I mean, if I was the United States, I would never not let there be backdoor dealings. Why would I have a coup and then not still have connects? I mean, what would Carrie Mathison do if not that? So this is also, though, when we have to really consider just the extreme things that can, just the extreme, no, I didn't tape it yet, responses that could happen. And that we as a community of Americans are not prepared for any of that. We're not prepared for community. And I say that as somebody who is constantly being told that that is not a solution when I provide it as a solution. To gain more knowledge on this subject, someone just named a podcast episode that they said was really good, but I don't remember what it was. I think the question becomes, what do you feel you're lacking in understanding? And I think a lot of people would start with like the geopolitical, like history stuff. And it really ends up being more about, in my opinion, having an understanding of what is actually driving that geopolitical stuff. So understanding capitalism, right? Understanding the political system of this nation, understanding the corporatocracy. So it's like when you start to understand those things at the root, then the branches of the tree become a lot clearer to read. Yes, I am the unsolution queen to these people. All I do is talk and I never have solutions. You want to learn about the explicit complicity of other nations? Then you should read, what's that book? Hold on. If you want to look at the explicit complicity of other nations, I'm not sure what you mean specifically, but, man, what is that book? White. It's a huge book. White. What is this book? White Rage? White, no, it's not White Fragility. Oh, man. Oh, I already blocked him. Out of here. No. It's a giant book with a red cover, red and black and white cover. What is that book? No, it's not called White Trash. Y'all are like white privilege, white tears, white mama. Is it White Malice? It is White Malice, I think. Yes. Yes. I cannot pronounce your first name, but Chapitou, you win. You win. The book is White Malice, The CIA and the Covert Recolonization of Africa. Start reading that, and you're going to be like, what? Also, for the record, 100 years is not a long time. But the 1900s, yeah, the Jakarta method is a good... Do I have the hiccups? I think I have the hiccups. I'm waiting to see if it's going to hiccup. That's why I'm quiet. Someone said that my contact page is down, but it's not. So what do you need to contact me about? Okay, so are there any questions before I go to sleep? Oh, someone asked me earlier if I think anyone would be fit for president. I don't think enough people really understand what the role of the president is. And until you understand that, you would understand that when you say, do I think anyone would be fit for president? What you're suggesting is that there would be some level of skill or morality or intellect required for that role. And the truth is that the role of the president, at least from all that I've read and understand, is really somebody who is a salesman and has a good memory. So when you are an Avon lady, you are best at your job if you know the full scope of Avon products. You're trying to sell these products to people who will then sell them to people. If you're the president, you essentially need to know who you are trying to sell the presidency, trying to sell America to. Like, that's what you're doing. You're selling America to us, Americans. You're keeping us, the populace, as chill as possible. That's what you're doing. You're not being put in the role of president to change the United States. You're being put in the role of president to maintain it. And so until someone actively comes into that role with the effort to do something different than that, it won't change. And because of the Democrats being about a status quo, we did get somebody in office who is about changing that. We did get an entire, backing of that person. They're just changing it in the wrong direction. So that, to me, is really the only way that anything ultimately shifts, or there's a coup. However, we're so large of a country that it's a lot harder for there to be a coup, like on some Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré stuff. So now we have someone here saying, why don't you talk about Sudan war? What do you want me to say about the Sudan war? Y'all act like there's so much information out here about the Sudan war. What is there for me to say? The Sudan war is confusing as hell. And ultimately, the Sudan war is a constant series of provocations done by two men who really just want to be in power. That's it. And the leader of the RSF is trying to set himself up to be a world leader by cozying up to, Israel and normalizing ties with Israel and trying to get a meeting with Donald Trump and, trying to look like he's, a regular guy in a suit. And he's being supported by the UAE, who's funding the RSF. But what do you want me? What else is there to say about about Sudan's war? It's horrific. It is horrific. I'll tell you that. And it doesn't serve the U.S. to try to actually stop it, because ultimately they want unrest in the region. The United States, France, Europe, all of them want the motherland to stay in unrest. It works for them. Please keep fighting. So there really isn't much to say about the Sudan war. There's not much to say about the Congo in terms of there needs to be, of course, support. But do I see an end to this? No. The only thing that would end it is the people themselves. That's the only thing that would end it. It's not going to be some white savior situation that's going to end it. As for the New York elections, I'm going to do a video about this, but I don't endorse candidates. So I'm not going to say, vote for this person or vote for that person, or vote for that person. However, I do endorse information. And I think it's really important to know who is out here being disingenuous, lying, and using their blackness to persuade black voters to vote against their interests. And when you see Representative Clyburn and you see this jackhole, Al Sharpton, out here stumping for Mario Cuomo, when you see the millions of dollars, $30 million that have been poured into his campaign, which, by the way, is more money than the DNC coffer has of itself, you start to wonder, well, why is it that they're working so hard to get this man in power? And it's because he's already bought. That's why. He's already bought. And they know that they will not be able to do what they've been doing with him with Zohran. And so I just hope that voters will make the choice that is in their best interest. And if you've already seen example of somebody who has displayed a lack of morality, a lack of ethics, who has displayed that they are 100% bought, that they are a Zionist, then you already understand what they're going to do or what they're capable of. Why would you vote for that again? Yes, tell them Underrated Me. Views from Amandaland, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, Amandaseales TV, if you want to hear more conversations like this. Yes, Mario Cuomo was on the defense team, or is on the defense team for Benjamin Netanyahu and his war crimes that he's accused of by the ICC. But this is why when we talk about voting, and people will say, well, you be telling us to vote and then you be changing your mind. No, voting is different on different levels. And the most important vote that you can cast is for your city and state positions. Your mayors, your governors, your state senators, your state Congress, your state representatives, your city council, your superintendent, your judges, your DA. These are the most important roles that you can fill, because these are the roles that end up actually being represented in the United States. Okay, Iran sees women as second-class citizens. Yes, so does the United States. So David Stern 7161 says we need a revolution. And so this is what I'm saying when I'm doing all this talking, right? When I'm doing all this talking, it's like, how do you have a revolution with an uninformed people? Like Fred Hampton said, like, you can't even start a revolution without starting with education. You know, AOC tried to come for me tonight. AOC tried to come for me tonight under the BT News post and say that I'm just talking about clicks. I'm just talking for clicks. And you know, bless her heart. Bless her heart. Because one thing she gonna do is politic. That's one thing she gonna do. That lady right there is gonna politic. And that's why she was in all them pictures with Mahmoud Khalil, even though she did not even sign with the other. There were 14 Democrats that signed a document when he was arrested, asking for his release. And she was not one of those 14. But she was right there next to him today. And I asked under a post that was saying that he was released, I said, why? I said I was going to ask why AOC was here, but I see that the comments already get the vibe. Because all of the comments, many of the comments were like, why is AOC here? And she wrote a whole long response saying to me that she's been at his side doing XYZ, and she knows I only wrote that for clicks, but there's misinformation. And I'm just like, you really wrote this nonsense on taxpayer time? Please stop. Clyburn is very ethical. Based on what? Then you're saying HBUs. Are you saying HBCUs are ethical? Because I feel like there's a lot of students who have been protesting at HBCUs for their low living standards that would disagree. Cassie. What is my plan to protect myself during this time, physically and mentally? I can't tell you that. I can't tell you my plan. Can't give too much away. Do I think Iran is going to plan a terrorist attack on the U.S.? Yep. Someone said she's a celebrity. They don't need protection like we do. Ooh, the shit y'all be cooking up, boy, I tell you. Y'all be cooking it up. Chefing in the kitchen. Riss. Oh, man. So anyways, it's about that time. I'm going to shut it down. I wish all of you all a good night. And Yvette, I don't believe so, no. So Lady Africa, there you go. I'm with you. Someone said, this is why Issa hates me. Ooh, y'all just be wanting to say shit to antagonize me. And y'all always bring that lady name up. Why y'all always bring that lady name up? I agree with you, Yvette. R.C. Niemer, stop. Felicia said, the freaks is out. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. Y'all. And I want to shout out this hoodie that I got. Where's the tag? It's a brother. It's a brother's line. Hold on, let me see if I can. The tag is on here. That's who it's by. Nigel Xavier. And it's a 1 of 1. It is so cozy. Soup's cozy. So, good night.